It is what it is. I call this meeting of the City Council to order. If you'll rise, we'll have an invocation called by the pledge. Kenny, will you give us an invocation?
Lord, Father, Lord, we just thank you for this day, Lord. We just thank you for all your blessings, Lord. Father, just be with us tonight, Lord, as we conduct city business, Lord. Just give us direction and wisdom, Lord, and we just thank you for this time of year, Lord, and just be with everyone, keep them safe and healthy and their families, Lord. Forgive us for we fail you, for in Christ's name we pray.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to thank everybody for coming. Janine, there's no public comment.
No, sir.
It's just like that. Introduction of new city employees, Mitch.
We don't, he's not here, is he?
No, he was moving to a different house, so we.
Okay, different area, okay.
Yeah.
I was looking at Eric's side, so your new employee's in Eric, not to be here.
What's he?
He's,
Public
he
Works.
works with Public Works, and helping out some of them. Eric, what, Kim?
Tintilla?
Tell him welcome. Next, we'll consider and approve minutes from the November 23rd meeting. If there are no additions or corrections, can we get a motion to approve the minutes as read?
Make the motion to approve the minutes as read. November 23rd meeting.
Second.
Motion been made by Kenny, seconded by Michael, that we approve the minutes as read. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Next, we will consider and approve the monthly departmental reports. If you have a question, please identify the page. Chief Hester on page 16 for everybody. Just wanted to commend you guys. Hear a lot of good things from the DA's office on the way y'all do things, and wanted to publicly say attaboy and thank you for all y'all do.
Thank you. It's my guys that are doing it.
Well, you're leading them, so.
Thank you.
Page 32 on the Public Works report. I visited with Mitch today and just wanted to be sure to reiterate our motivation to sweep streets and blade alleys when we're able to. So, any other questions? If not, can we get a motion to approve the departmental reports?
I make a motion.
Second.
Motion's been made by Michael, seconded by Kenny. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we will consider and approve the November expenses. Those begin on page 49. Any outstanding questions? If not, can we get a motion to approve the November expenses?
Make a motion to approve the November expenses.
Second.
Motion's been made by Kenny, seconded by Michael. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we will consider and approve the change order number 1 to the Downtown Revitalization Program for a handicap grant. Page 62, Mitch.
Yes, we have about $28,000 left in the grant. The bid was $28,000 less than what we had available for funds, so we had that amount left over. And we wanted to add that handicap ramp for senior citizens. They've asked about it a few times. We didn't do it in our first round because there was some apprehension, but they came to us and wanted to try to add that. And I think we can do it within the time level. Our grant writer is gonna have to jump through some hoops to be able to do it, but got a bid of about 8,000, or a bid of 8,000 for the ramp. And the engineering, probably 2,500 to 3,000. I know it sounds like a lot, but if somebody falls on it, I definitely want to rely on our engineers. Professional liability insurance, if somebody does hurt themselves between us senior citizens. But anyway, we still have about 20,000 to add to either curb or something else that's one of the listed things in our project that we could add to. And we're kind of looking at, we don't leave any money on the table, so I recommend approval of the change order and then
You'll bring some plans to us for the next one too. Maybe if you were able to find something.
yeah, the main thing, the engineering was on this ramp, and it's a complicated level, but the other stuff will just be units, like more curb, replace some curbs, broke, stuff like that, and some traffic, maybe, some signs.
50% cost share on this grant.
No, this one is,
90%.
no, it's 20, I think it was 15 or 20% match, and it was a 420,000.
So we sure want to try to use all the money.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we won't leave it unpaid.
I make a motion, we approve change order number 1 to the downtown revitalization grant.
Second.
Motion's been made by Eric, seconded by Michael. Is there any further discussion? If none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Next, we will consider and approve the sale of some trust properties through Texas Community Groups. The addresses are here in your book: 175 North Austin, 178 North Austin, 1006 West First, 522 West Weedell, and 1101 East 11th Street. Got some good bids. Mitch, do you have any kind of update? You noticed they've got some different higher bids than normal.
I know, yeah, we've kind of changed the process a little bit. Instead of just mass selling them all, we don't put them up on the auction side unless we've had somebody interested in one of the lots. And anybody that ever comes to town looking for some property and stuff, I'll give them a printout of all the trust properties that we have. If they're interested in anything, we'll put it on the website and they can bid on it. And those first 3 were actually lots that people came to me wanting to put manufactured homes on, so we put them on the side and they got outbid by this Casimir Investments. I asked Texas CG about it, and they said they buy a lot of property in Lubbock and in different areas. I think they buy a lot of property. And that's a pretty good bid, $1,700, $1,300 for these just little old city lots. And then those last 2 are the Hernandez on Waddell, or they want to add on to their house. There's lots beside their house, and they'd like to add on beside their house. And then the last one was a commercial property, Chacon and Romero, and I believe their plans are to build a storage, commercial warehouse storage type thing. And looks like it should fit what they were describing, looks like it should fit the zone. So I recommend that we accept all the bids.
And then Casimir Investments.
Yeah, I don't like the letter very much. I put it in the package, and it's kind of says over and over that we're not trying to get people off, but I mean, this is the best bid we probably had for just a regular old residential lot. I think we need that.
And if they don't get a house and they own them, I mean, that's where they don't, I mean, there's really no reason to reject them unless you'll have one, but,
Yeah.
and it's worth seeing if they'll get some housing.
Well,
I think it's important to take a bid too, because, I mean, people will quit bidding on it if we say, well, I'm gonna sell it to you, because we want somebody else to get it or something. So this is different than normal bidding laws, where the lowest bid or the highest bid gets it.
Yeah.
We have a choice, you know, we can accept it or not.
yeah, but it's gonna, I mean, boil down to, I'm getting phone calls from people from California, can you go mow that lot that I bought, you know?
That's, I don't know how that turns out, but one of the things we put in our deals is if we sell this to them, with these folks, and they don't keep it up or get it up to code, mowing and things like that, which I think all of these lots are in pretty good shape,
Mm-hmm.
then we have a period of time there we can take the profit back.
Okay. All righty.
They should know that, they need to.
Yeah.
6 months.
But knowing and doing it is two different things.
Yeah. They gotta comply, they gotta bring it into compliance.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, I wouldn't wanna just try to only sell to local people. I mean, that's kind of a tough deal to handle there.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, I think it's probably, I mean, it's enough money, I think it's good. So I could tear down 3 or 4 houses with the amount of facility lots for.
Make a motion, we approve all the trust sales.
I make a motion, we sell all the trust sales.
Second.
Motion's been made by Michael, seconded by Kenny, that we approve all these trust sales. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we will consider an approved contract for rental for hangar footprint land for John Vanderpool.
Basically, the same thing goes for all 3 of these proposed leases. The first one, John Vanderpool bought from Van Alongino back in May, I believe, and y'all approved it through the end of the year, and then when we come back with a lease to line it up with our standard way we've been doing it, 3-year lease with an option for them to renew for another 3 years. And this is the ground underneath the hangar. We don't own these hangars. These are all just the ground leases. And I've looked on the internet. I don't know who to really compare with, but this like kind of lines up with what they said you should be paying for a hangar. And it boils down to about 16 cents per square foot in comparison. So, I mean, I think we're getting ample money, you know, for the ground lease underneath these hangars. And I sent this to these, to John and to Mike Graves, and I recommend that we would approve these, or approve that one for Vanderpool.
Entertain a motion to approve the hangar land lease to John Vanderpool.
I make a motion, we approve the rental for hangar footprint land for John Vanderpool.
Motion made by Michael, seconded by Kenny. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Same item for a land lease to Cap Rock Soaring Club.
Yeah.
Entertain a motion to approve that lease.
I make a motion to approve the lease of rental hangar footprint land for the Caprock Swimming Pool.
Second.
Motion's been made by Michael, seconded by Kenny. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Same lease for Dr. Mike Graves. Entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion, we approve the rental lease to Dr. Mike Graves.
Second.
Motion's been made by Michael, seconded by Kenny. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. Next, we will consider and approve the City of Littlefield Southwestern Public Service easement and survey for the Aquatic Center. Mitch?
Yeah, this is ratify this easement granted to the power company for the underground service. Way underground. They had to go about 8 or 10 foot deep to go from the east side of Phelps, under Phelps, and all the way up to easily the, yeah, they actually trenched part of it, but the underground was all the way from the, well, I mean, it's all underground, but, they did the bore to that, where it turned, which was amazing, but they got it done. We.
Ours ain't nothing you can do about it, just need to ratify their easement.
Yeah.
Entertain a motion to accept their easement and survey.
Make a motion, we'll accept the easement service for the clock center.
Second.
Motion been made by Kenny, seconded by Michael. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carried. Next, we'll consider and approve action regarding compactor at landfill. This is an agenda item I asked Mitch a month ago or something to be thinking about. So, Mitch, you give them the rundown.
Yeah, we've got, basically there's two different kinds of machines. There's a Cat and there's a Tana. And we looked at the Tanas a little bit back when we got the Cat. And I guess what, 4 or 5 months ago, when we finally got our compactor, the rebuilt compactor. And at the time, that was probably a good option for us, but had a lot of problems with it, and they stood good for the warranty. They repaired, no cost to us, but had a lot of downtime. And I went back, Kenny, I get asked him to look at some numbers on costs. Since January, the city Lubbock probably 18,000, close to 19,000 for landfill costs to seal it because our compactor was broken and we're not able to operate. So our biggest problem is trucks right now, and hopefully we'll be getting one within about a month or so. And that's one of the purposes. Long story short, we went and got some numbers from Tana and from one Cat. And Caterpillars are 900,000 plus. And you're looking at over a year, they're saying January, could possibly open a slot where they could order one and it'd be a year away.
So why I asked Mitch to get this together and talking to Lance and Mitch is, when we were in an emergency situation several months ago, hindsight 2020, we made the best choice we could at the time. We got the best used machine from the company we worked with before. Probably should have given Tana a little more consideration at that time, but it was just, what can we get the quickest? We were promised this would be quick, it'd be a good, totally rebuilt machine, and it is a rebuilt machine. And so why I asked Mitch to do this, here's my opinion, is we're still, our trucks aren't coming in. We've got everything tended to. Today, Lance has 4 trucks running out of 4. Tomorrow there might be 1 or none. But as long as everything's working, we're also running up against problems with them getting that pit dug out there. Supposedly, Mitch said this week, A&J, which has dug 2 for us in the past, is supposed to get started and get that problem fixed. But in my opinion is, we know what it costs to take trash to Abernathy. We also have spent a tremendous amount of money with trucks. It's around $80,000, right?
I got 66,000 just the tipping fee at Lubbock.
Of that, okay. What?
That's our trucks to dump at Lubbock.
I thought it was 18.
No, I'm sorry, I'm back. Our contractors.
It was 66.
Contractors, 66,000 for Republic and waste haulage.
And that there's, some of that was maybe overkill, but it got the job done. So the risk we're sitting on today is this compactor we've had it about 4 or 5 months. I asked Lance today, this thing is broke all the time. Last week it was broke. They got out on Thursday, had it fixed on, maybe Lance correct me, but fixed it on a Wednesday, ran it for a couple hours, and it was broke again on Thursday, and getting it got it fixed today. So our compactor, they're making it work, but if it goes down, we're back on the road with junk to Abernathy, which is costing money. And also, even if we had our new trucks here, do we want to put them on the road? This compactor issue is, I mean, we know, so this machine we have, it may last 3 years, it may last 5, it could last 10. You know, it's used equipment, and we're just going to have some repairs to make. But it's a critical piece of equipment that we saw when it fails, it dominoes everything. And so I asked Mitch to put some numbers together. Ideally, you may not, this is for discussion tonight, but to look at a new compactor. Another critical piece of equipment we need at the landfill is a scraper. Our scraper is old, broke down, $50,000 to repair. It's not worth 15. So Lance hasn't fixed that yet, and probably doesn't want to. We can't talk a lot about this to the scraper tonight, but maybe in another meeting here before long. What I'd like to maybe consider is buying a new Tana and getting a good machine. I think that after talking to these landfill people, is the compaction's going to be better because it's one drum across instead of 4. Andrew had told me one day that when he ran it on a Saturday that, you know, those cats are so heavy that as you're compacting in that loose trash, it's just squirting back out the side of those wheels. And so this single dual roller solid across is interesting on the compaction level, and that literature is in your binder too. But you know, is possibly using this. We're not in a rush to get rid of our old one. I don't think it's practical to keep a $300,000 and some piece of machine around as a backup, but potentially trading it in on to Cat or Yellow House on a newer or a new scraper, or selling it through this company, or potentially an auction as a resort. But with the new compactor, we still got an issue of we got to get this pit dug, but with the new compactor, it's still going to break down, but we hope it's a little more. This Lance said that you think that this compactor's been broke down aggregately at least a month out of the last 5 total. I mean, it's been out of service at least 20% of the time, and causes a lot of problems. And then, you know, was possibly trading that. We've got to address the scraper. So we're spending about you were spending $80,000 a year digging cells. Now they're costing $120,000 to $150,000 a year. Lance said that so they use that scraper to cover each day. The patriciables have to be covered with about 6 inches of dirt, and it doesn't, not a huge area, but it does. The scraper is the most effective way to do that. But also with that is they would be able to. We used to dig our own pits, but our scraper was small and it was also just a dog, so we quit it. We're spending about $150,000 a year on contractors to dig these pits. That if we upgrade that scraper, we need it to cover anyway. But then we can also alleviate these contractors digging pits. And then we've got a pretty solid fleet of equipment out there that, you know, hopefully we'll have that y'all take care of for 10 years, or maybe we get on a trade-in program or something. But that's why we brought it, is what we have is working. When it works, they can get by as they always have for years. But it's just kind of, it's an issue when it breaks, and instead of getting in the same situation, especially with America 2021 of not being able to buy what you want, and you know, if it goes down and next year gets more unstable and we can't get another one for 6 months or a year. I mean, you're seeing the lead times. Cat's 12 months. Some of these other Tanas are 6 months, and if we get in a crisis like we were last time, we're going to end up having to buy another piece of junk. And so while our junk's running and maybe worth something, let's try to maybe explore doing it right. That's my point. What I would like to see us do tonight or in the future, shortly in the future, is consider the option of buying a new Tana, which is on the page. And I'd like for 145. Yeah, you'll see the spreadsheet, it's that last column, E38, back to not rebuild, the last column on the right, which is you see all the options on it, the discounts, $748,136. Mitch said, they say 2 to 3 weeks lead time, it's 2 days, it's sitting in weather.
It's sitting there now.
Comes with a 3-year, 5,000 hour warranty. And there's some other options. Antenna comes with, they'll set a seat container out there with your most common parts. And so if it breaks down, you have a stockpile of parts there. The dealer's in Lubbock. And then also what I understand is if you had some warranty work, say the fan clutch goes out and Lance can fix it, the city will actually be able to bill the warranty to work to them. And I'd like Lance's, Andrew's, and Mitch's, Lance and I have talked, but y'all haven't had the same conversation, but, this is a big purchase, we need to be open and honest about what we need to do.
And how much is the 740?
That's the new one. You look at those used ones, they're factory rebuilt, we just bought a factory rebuilt, or not a factory.
So, but that's the cost of the new one, 748?
Yes.
Okay.
Brand spanking new.
Okay.
Lance, we talked earlier, can you share with the council kind of some of our discussion and what your struggles are, what your main issue is right now?
Just getting good compaction on that stuff. That's what's killing our sales, because we can't get good compaction with the one we got. It's, when it is working, it's just, we can't. We're gonna run out of landfill life if we don't get this under control.
One of the issues you're having is, in the past, we haven't got good compaction. Now, this machine we have, to be fair, is capable of providing good compaction.
It is capable.
But one of the issues we're having is, so we're broke down for 3 days, and garbage shows up in the pit. You go into instead of compacting daily or something, you're going into 6 foot of loose trash, and you're not getting the compaction on it that you would if you were doing it.
That just kills the pit space, and we'll have to dig another pit.
There's a cost here that we're not smart enough to calculate with our wasted pit space of not being efficient with our spaces, and we know the cost of replacement is $1,550,000, and then also if we have to divert is $18,000, and it doesn't take many of these to really be talking about, it's probably smart to buy some good equipment and do some of this ourselves.
Well, in those pits, you can dig them for $50,000-$60,000, now they're $200,000.
We went from 3 years ago when we dug our first pit, it was when we went from digging our own to contractors, it was $56,000, and then went to 80, and this new one with all the fiasco around it, the bid was 100, and
Will be, yeah.
if we had to dig
A
that
realistic bid, probably $160,000 to a pit, just start from scratch, but, the problems around this one we've got.
So, with the new scraper, which I asked Lance, he doesn't know the exact numbers, it's $350 to $500, but 5 years, and that's probably a piece of equipment we want. This compactor, I think they'll take care of it like they are the track loader and the other stuff. Lance has done a good job with that. This compactor is a 10-year piece of equipment, probably. The scraper, there's 100 and how many grease zerks on a scraper, 150?
About 150 to 200.
It's a piece of equipment probably need to keep trading every 3 to 5.
Couple of questions. How do we plan to pay for this?
How do we plan to pay for this, Andrew?
Make it pay for it however you want.
We can pay for it.
What's the best option?
Probably just to pack it.
Just
Mitch said there's some benefit, and he brought up the comment earlier, and I'll challenge his thought a little bit. He said, financing these big equipments, then hey, our payment's $100,000 a year for 7 years, and there's a cost of doing it. That needs to be calculated into our fees anyway. If we pay for it with cash, we need to look at that number of depreciation on that piece of equipment of $120,000 a year into the cost of our operations, and do we need to go up or down on our fees? But he thinks, there's lots of financing options. We could probably get 2 to 3% money, but on $750,000 at 3% money is $21,000 a year. And yeah, inflation's, that's the best inflation against, hedge against inflation, but man, that kind of money for that throwing that interest away when we're sitting on, what, $10 million? $11 million is stupid. So we probably just need to pay for it.
Okay. Second question, and I don't know much about these, but the lights, or maybe somebody can answer this, them sitting outside, does that have something to do with it?
The scraper, most definitely. And I've challenged them for a couple years now. Part of it is with TCQ, with our permits, is it able, but, you know, one thing I've asked for is, even on a building on skids, is something centrally located, just a pavilion, just to get them out of the rain, the sun, and snow. They're sitting out in the sun over the weekend. You know, we can build a 50 by 60 pavilion for $30,000, $40,000, and you know, even if it's on skids that we could pull from north side to south side as we move pits, just to get this equipment out of the sun and this rain.
I think that needs to be figured into it. I mean, we need to do something this, if we're gonna spend this much money, they don't need to be sitting outside.
Our track loader's $300 and something thousand. This is $750. If we get a scraper, I mean, we've got $1.5 million worth of equipment sitting out that do elements, and that's kind of stupid. Same with, can be said at the Public Works Farm. I mean, that, one of my goals before I get voted out is I want to build a public, maybe this is what does it, but I want to build a Public Works building through the water and Public Works that has the capability to get a lot of that into the shade. We just have $2 million, and especially in the last few years as we're buying good equipment, you know, just the life of it and the trade-in value.
I know Lance been working on, I mean, we had a pretty good setup, ready to go, pull the trigger on it, and then all hell broke loose with the price. And we went from being able to do the whole thing for 50,000 to, I don't know what it is now, probably it's just crazy.
But the longer we wait, I mean, we're seeing that everything's going up high.
I do have a 30 by 30 cover out there that we've been, I mean, we could put it up somewhere and we can build it to, it's one of those, that's basically a cover, it's a pavilion type thing.
There's,
I mean, we could do that, but,
yeah.
I mean, we got it on hand, we could have it ready to do it.
I mean,
It'd be better to have what you're talking about.
we need to explore that. Like Mike said, if we're going to do this, we do need to protect those
Right.
assets. And
The challenge you run into with the compactors is, are you gonna build it down where the compactor's gonna be, or are you gonna build it up on the top of the hill? And what you're running into is getting it from there to here. And, I mean, I think you should manage it.
Lance and Maryville are smart people and know they do it every day. I don't. I would suspect you want covered down there close where you're not roading them back, but also there's something to be said for power and water close. But I would expect you to put it down in the center where y'all keep your stuff. And therefore it needs to be, TCQ is not going to let us put it probably permanent, but it needs to be, we need a solution.
Yeah, we'll look at that. We'll come up with a plan for that.
So is this an action item tonight?
Yes.
It could be.
The action item is not for any other landfill equipment, it's only a compactor, but,
Which is the 10th,
which is the 10.
and it's 2 to 3 weeks out.
2 days.
Tanner, we could have it next week.
But you also need to understand, for just forecasting and understanding, is that there has to be a discussion about a scraper, that they're not getting proper coverage out there. And we've got to find a solution, or maybe there's a different way we operate it, the landfill, I don't know. But we do have to have a discussion about that.
Well, we can't,
Need a
This
commissioner.
we
Well,
I know we can't discuss the scraper too much, but it's gonna be one of the pieces of equipment that we're gonna need to add to this. So, my question again, knowing that, how we're gonna pay for it? And we're still gonna pay both pieces of equipment?
I just don't think it makes sense to borrow any money.
Right.
I mean, even at the cheaper interest rates with sitting on that, we're getting a point, what are we getting on that money? It's a half point.
0.002.
0.002%, so.
I mean, I guess my question to Andrew, can we afford both pieces of equipment if we need them?
We could cash flow, yeah.
One of the things, though, we have to start building into is, if we pay for them cash, and Mitch has talked about this in other budget deals, of a capital fund, where we've got to start accounting for this depreciation. So, for example, if this tan is $750,000, and we're going to say we're going to own it for 7 years, and then in the 7 years it's going to be worth $150,000. We've got $600,000 worth of depreciation over 7 years. So we need to start taking $80,000 a year and putting back into a fund or our budget. And I mean, it needs to be a line item on next year's budget that says $80,000 and goes to the capital improvement fund or the capital fund, whatever the heck it's called. So 10 years from now, another council that's not us or whoever it is, and we've got to be very cautious with this money and not go by and just doing this every 3 months. But we don't want to get in a situation where 10 years from now we're out of cash and have a bunch of worn out stuff.
Well, that's what we're trying to dig out of right now.
That's what we're trying to dig out of.
Let me ask you this, on the compactor that we have now, how much warranty time is left on that? When we got it, was what, 6 months warranty or something like that? Or?
Probably only another month or so. Was it 6?
About a month.
You know, trying to remember, I think that extended out, so
Yeah, we negotiated with them to get it extended a little.
I think we got a year on the engine and
Transmission.
on a year. But
Would
I
that
think,
be transferable? Hypothetically, I mean, if we
if we sold it to
if we
somebody,
sold it, would that?
probably not.
So it was kind of, we griped a lot.
Okay, I just don't know if that'd be something that you could use as,
So,
but here's another question. I mean, if we got the condition of it right now, and it's how, I mean, I understand that, and I agree with that, but also, don't we technically need to have 2 machines out there, like one for a backup, or?
What would
in case one goes
TCQ
down?
there?
I mean, because if not, then you're gonna have to go and take stuff to a different, until one gets, that's kind of what we're in right now. If we don't have, if this breaks down, then we're kind of stuck in the water because we don't have anything to compact it with.
Yeah.
What would the, I mean, you know, if we get this thing in a decent condition, we've got another month left of warranty, we've got another year or so of power and transfer or whatever, you know, if we can maintain that in a decent condition where if we did pursue and get a new Tana and something happened to it, where we could use that one there as a backup and as backup only, you know, I mean, would that be?
So TCQ permit requires 2 modes of covering or compaction. In the past, we had an old junker out there that didn't even run.
Yeah.
They've always allowed us to have it with that track loader we have. We're able to have the compactor, and that track loader is a gray area, like, okay, we're gonna let you buy as long as you have a good compactor. Is that true? So that discussion I had with them earlier is, so our compactor that we have is all freshly redone, fresh paint. It looks good. You know, if we can get 300 plus for it on sale or trade in, you know, we gave 370 for it. If we can get 350, well, that'd be great. 300 plus, we need to probably trade it or sell it. You know, but it's like that Ford ambulance we had is, you know, if we're only gonna get $50,000 for it, let's just keep it around as a spare.
Well, that's kind of what I was
You know,
kind of maybe trying to allude to, where now I'm saying, you know, if we could maintain it in a decent operation condition until, you know, if we do decide to go through with this and get a new one, and something were to happen to it, you know, we can still have a backup, but yet still in a decent condition put it on the market to.
Well, and we don't have to be in a hurry to sell it either.
Right,
It's,
right.
You know, look, this is available if any, and somebody's gonna get in a bind like we are, and look, we've got one,
Yeah.
we want 360 for it.
Right.
And they'll pack it up and load it, but versus just going and saying, hey, let's put it in a Ritchie Brothers auction. And
Yeah,
sell
no,
it next week.
yeah, that's my thing, is that we could have a little bit of leverage on.
You know, keep it in good health, keep the batteries charged up, and what
On
are your
top.
eyes big for?
On the
Huh?
top
What are
four,
your eyes big for?
Yeah, keep the tires aired up on it.
Yeah.
the tires there.
Tired there.
Oh, So that top four pit, I should ask you this earlier. Would the four-wheel work better than the drum on the top four material, you think?
I really couldn't say. I think it'd probably be about the same.
Mitch had the idea of, okay, well, we have two pits,
Right.
1 and 4. We'll leave one down in 4. The reality is, they're not gonna drive the old one, they're gonna drive the new one. It's right over there. You know,
The new
and
shiny or the old bus?
so, Lance tells them, well, if you do that pit, go get in that one. It's not practical, and, if we're gonna keep it, it needs to keep batteries charged up, not have $500 or $1,000 worth of batteries we're replacing it. We need to, if we're gonna do this, we need to look at probably getting rid of that one as long as we can get moderately, even $250,000.
Well, I agree with that, I think, but in the meantime, we still need to keep it in a good operating condition, just in case we need to use it.
I did kind of spit my coffee on my shirt today. I like jokes. Let me see where it is, because I want to bring your attention and see if you read your packet. On 144, that guy said, the Canada dealer said, cost savings, blah, blah, blah. In fact, it would be more cost effective to sell your current four-wheel contract with scrap metal and replace it for a Canada. He must have seen our machine.
Well, either that, or he's just pushing.
It's Canada, I think they have,
Salesman.
they have eyes in the sky.
I wondered if he had seen our machine.
They have this, I'm very impressed with Tana's technical abilities. They have a real-time screen in each one they have running all across the United States. And by the way, they're the North American headquarters in Lubbock for Tana. So we're dealing with the one that runs the whole country as far as the Tana dealers. And they have real-time on screen, says all about each machine, what's going on with it. If it has a light coming on, if it's overheating, or if it's this or that, and they know right there, they're watching it the whole time. And it's pretty cool, really, because we're sitting there watching that machine, because they're warning it, so they want to know that everything's working just right on it.
Do we know what the GPS Carlson is? So it's GPS driven swap and path, I guess. Do any of y'all know what that is? So down here, other options to consider is the fire suppression system. I'm sure is on the back stuff, the heaters and that kind of stuff. Some of this looks like just junk, but the semi-U blade and some of that, the upgrading the railing system. If we're gonna do this, I'm sure you haven't had any discussions with them about those alternates, those additions.
No, really haven't. I think the GPS thing is talking about, a lot of the big landfills will have a global positioning thing that says exactly where they're at all times.
Right.
In case they have to dig up some traffic.
Not what we're
I
interested
think
in.
that'd be, the thing that would stick out to me most would be that fire suppression system on there. Just, if you need to do something on there.
I'd like to know more about that.
I don't know why that would be important.
I'd like to know more about the U blade, but these also, the electric engine and hydraulics heaters, but if it's gonna be parked down in the middle, is that practical? So that would be one thing I'd challenge y'all to, is to figure out, is there some options we need to add to this also?
Yeah, if you wanted to, what we could do is I could get some answer to that and schedule him to come out and meet with us, like maybe a special meeting on the first.
They should have two larger models that aren't listed on here.
Yeah, there are two bigger models, but they didn't give us.
Is this what y'all looked at back in the
Lance and
summer?
I looked at the three models in that E380 That was the smallest model that we looked at on that day. That last
There's some bigger ones. The
How big is the one that
380s
we have right now as far as,
comparable.
90,000.
is this comparable to that?
Yeah, it's the same
Yes.
weight. This was like 90,000, I think the Cat, 826 is like 85,000.
So there's 3 models on top of this one?
Well, there was 3 E models. There was
They
the E380, the
They
E450,
got
and
a
the E520.
450 and a 520. I just don't know that anything about the 450s and the 520. Did y'all see some of them up there when y'all went?
Yeah, they actually gave us a tour of a 520 that they had rebuilt. And it was, at the time, it was like 750,000, but they on that particular model, they had the railings and stuff too, to it, so it had some upgrades done to it, so.
But maybe somebody could look into this.
But are you even sure that the E380 is comparable to our machine?
Yes, that is the same size as our 826 Cat.
I would go up one more.
That 826 big, that's not the,
No, I would go up. What are we getting?
I'm not sure what the price is for a new 450 or 520 or if they're available, but I can find out.
yeah, that news big, what we have big is the bigger of the cat models.
Yeah, because when we got that, it was like at least the same size as the one that caught fire, correct?
I think Neil Shoes uses a 816.
That's small.
It's 50,000 pounds.
Just out of curiosity, I mean, what do they use out in Lowell, Springfield? Compact, what kind? Do they use cat,
They use some of everything. It's so big, they have a little bit of everything everywhere.
I would like to take action on this tonight, but now, I mean, I think we need to have a good discussion. This is shit ton of money. I think the dealer could owe it to come to a council meeting and kind of get some more of these questions answered.
Yeah, we'll schedule a meeting like after first of the year.
And talk about these options and figure more of that out, service plans and all
Well,
of that.
let me ask you this. This quote supposedly on 145, is that, how long is that good for? Is it a quote or just kind of an estimate?
Oh, the quote's good for, I'm sure, plenty of time, but I don't know if somebody may come back.
Yeah.
It is one unit, they have it on the yard right now, the new one. I don't know that people are lining up around the corner to buy them, but they are the dealer for North America now, and, you never know.
Well, nowadays, you don't get quotes that are good indefinitely, they're good for a week.
And that's just my thing, I don't want to rush into anything by no means, but it's kind of, I think it'd be wise to talk with them and.
I'd like to have a noon meeting just for this item the week after Christmas before the first of the year. If people are able to, just, I mean, it doesn't have to be the whole group, just us and you and Lance or whatever, but.
Would y'all be objecting to, if we wanted to, like, do a holder fee on it or something like that, or a, earnest money on it or something like that? So, a few thousand or something. I mean, I don't know that they would even want that, they'd probably say, nah, we'll hold it. That's probably what they'll say.
There's a lot of questions I think we need answered for this kind of money. Let's make sure we're getting what it is we
I'll
think.
tell you that we're very interested and we want to meet with you.
It's a week, I mean, it's 2 weeks.
At Christmas time, I don't know that anybody's gonna be spending all their.
We came prepared, but as, act on this tonight, but as, I mean, there's more options and stuff we need to understand to make sure we're getting the same size machine.
Well, he offered to come tonight, and I said, well, let us go ahead and have our meeting and see if we want you to come, because those questions you're asking me now, I don't think he would know availability on the bigger machine.
In the meantime, too, is we've got a scraper issue to deal with too, so let's get to work on that and try to knock some of this out. and get it done, instead of waiting till January, I mean, time is of the essence on quotes. And let's try to find a time the week after Christmas, maybe noon or whatever works.
So noon on the 28th? That's Tuesday.
What?
Noon on the 28th? That's the Tuesday after Christmas.
Oh, well, that's why I like the first.
No.
He-
Or you'll do it.
he doesn't.
I'm gonna do it.
Cool.
So we don't, I mean, it's available and it's there, it's the week after. Are you leaving town or something?
I just was.
What'd you say?
20.
I was thinking it's still listed.
Yeah, next week's Christmas. I mean, we can do it next Tuesday if you'd like, but we'll just wait till the week
I think
after.
it's probably better just wait till the 28th, I mean, we don't know what their schedule is and stuff like that, so.
Or 28th or 29th, somewhere in the
Okay.
middle of that.
Yeah, I'll be able to do that.
Try to get some numbers together on all of that stuff. And in the meantime, what I asked Mitch to do today too is I'd like to go to some other landfills, Mill Street, Brownfield. There may be a different way they operate than we do. And so in the meantime, he's gonna arrange that possibly this week or next week, or just see what you can do. But if you can come up with a day to go see Mill Street or something, if y'all like to take a field trip.
That would be wise.
So, but that'll give us some time to digest all that, so, everybody in
So we
keep looking.
There's no action on this, and
Just
we
gotta
need to
say
do
no
it.
action.
We're not in a jam, let's do it right. Want a cookie? So, any other discussion? If not, and keep this last part of your agenda, just on this stuff in the back, you might hang on to this agenda packet for a week or two. So this time, we're not going to take any action on that. Next, we'll have an executive session regarding TCQ, the Texas Government Code Section 551, consultation with an attorney, with the city council, city manager, treasurer, and Mike will join us. 6:20, we have returned from the executive session where no action was taken. At this time, we will have no action on number 17, we are adjourned. Y'all have a Merry Christmas.
You too.